Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed podcast. I'm going to up front today explain the drinking game. And I'm going to tell you something that I was reading because it's kind of humorous. It's kind of humorous, but it's kind of fucked up that they did it too, because Biden does enough stupid shit that really they don't need to add to it, but they did. But I'm going to explain the drinking game first. See, we have a little game here on the Perfectly Screwed podcast, and if this is your first episode, if this is not your first episode, you already know about it. But if this is your first episode, I would like to say we have a little drinking game. And the thing is, if I fuck up a word, which I just might during this podcast, or if I don't say a word correctly, if I stumble over a word, actually, we should add you to that too, because last time you really fucked up a couple.
Oh, I did. Well,
it doesn't happen often.
If I fuck up and you guys want to take a shot, fucking go ahead. It's just a lot more frequent and funnier when Brian does it. That's why
Brian
his fuck up is actually attached to the drinking game.
Yeah. So if I fuck up, please feel free to take a shot. Please don't do it while you're driving. Please don't do it while
we're operating heavy machinery at work. I know people like to put earbuds in and listen to podcasts at work, and if you're operating heavy machinery, well, you probably shouldn't be drinking at work.
Yeah, probably not.
If you're at work and you're able to drink, then you would be what I would describe as living the dream.
Well, I mean, technically, I'm working here right now. I mean, we don't get paid much for it, but we are working.
True.
And I'm drinking.
We're working
right
on
at the
expanding the minds of others.
I want you all to know, and this is because I care about my podcast audience so much. I care about you guys so much that I want you to know right now I'm drinking a lovely Bud Light Lime. And if you haven't tried a Bud Light Lime, I suggest it for everybody because it's amazing and refreshing. It's kind of like a Corona, but a little lighter. It's beautiful.
I'm just not a beer drinker. I have tasted it before. It's not terrible.
It's a light lager, brewed with real lime peels and natural flavors.
A hint of lime.
A hint of lime. Bud Light Lime. For all those who want to taste paradise in a bottle. Bud Light Lime. Hey, Bud Light, if you would like to give me and Jason any money for that.
If anybody associated with Bud Light happens to be listening, that was a very good plug by Brian.
Yeah, if anybody would like to throw me a little bit of change for that plug, I would enjoy having it.
I mean, I believe Bud Light has probably plenty of money laying around.
I'm saying, if anybody would like to just throw me a dollar,
large, budget for marketing.
I mean, if they want to throw me a case of Bud Light Lime, I'll take that too. I take all free shit. We
take all forms of payment here at Perfectly Screwed. That's something you learn real fast once you realize, in fact, you are perfectly screwed.
You're damn right.
You barter with anything.
You're damn right. Jason will even take sexual favors from women.
I'm not.
He said if you would like to send panties, he will be more than happy to take them.
Yeah, I'll fucking study them.
Yeah.
We'll fucking put them under a goddamn microscope and see what's going on.
Speaking of panties, I got to tell you about this chick that I was reading. It was something I was reading on the news, and this just really amazes me because I think people in general are just. I mean, if it is what it is, I'm not going to judge, but Jesus Christ, ladies and gentlemen, this chick. Okay, she was an influencer first, and then she was a cam model and different things, which is fine. I applaud all women who can make money off of people paying them to get naked or do whatever they do. So, I never slut shame anybody. But then this chick, people started paying her to send them her dirty panties. Which, okay, I kind of get that. Some guys and girls like to sniff dirty panties that a chick's worn if it's your favorite model. If that's what you're into, I mean, me, it's not my thing. But if that's what you're into,
no, that makes sense, actually.
Whatever.
I mean, some of the people are sports fans to, I know fucking hundreds of dudes that if Michael Jordan were to be like, hey, man, I'll send you a pair of these shorts I'm wearing. You know what I'm saying? They'd freak the fuck out.
Yeah, but I don't want Tom Brady's jockstrap.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's a form of that. It's a form of that.
I guess.
Because these cam girls, bottom line, they're celebrities to some dudes and girls. They fucking go on there every single day. You know what I'm saying? Watch them. They love them. They're fascinated with them.
Okay, and I get that.
And they want their panties.
But then they're taking it one step further.
Okay.
They're buying her sweaty socks, her dirty sneakers, a sweatsuit she has worn, and then they're buying things like her fingernail clippings, her pubic hair shavings, and she's burping into Tupperware containers, and this guy paid $2,000 for her burp. I mean, okay, now we're getting to the point that...
All right.
I mean, again...
Well, who do we have a problem with?
I don't have a problem with any of it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you do it. I mean, but Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, if you got $2,000 to burn, I could use it. I'll burp into whatever you like. I mean, if you want me to fart into a Tupperware container, I'll be more than happy to do it for you. Whatever you like. I'm a reasonable guy. I will clip some pubes right now for $2,000. You can have them tomorrow. I will ship them to you. You just send me the $2,000. And so if you like the podcast and you'd like my dirty underwear, please just email me. I will be more than happy to send you anything you like. I will sweat in whatever you like. Shit, I'll wear panties if that's your thing, and I'll sweat in those. I don't give a shit.
I mean, $2,000 for a burp in a Tupperware bowl. That is...
Dude, it was like...
That is funny.
It was like $50,000 for her sweatsuit.
$50,000?
Yeah, dude paid $50,000 to have her, like, her yoga pants and crop top and panties that she wore. Yeah. He paid like $50,000 for her shoes, too, that she had sweated in, because he wanted her... I don't want to know what he's doing later on.
Here's what brings... Here's kind of what comes to my mind. You have $50,000 that you are able to spend on a girl's sweatsuit.
Yeah.
That means you have lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
And it also means that you, in a way, are just completely unhappy.
I'm also saying there's a lot of homeless people that really could use some food.
Like,
maybe you should take a portion.
Money has nothing to do with happiness, is what I'm saying. Well, this dude obviously has a lot of problems.
Well, maybe not.
Lonely.
I mean, maybe he's not lonely. He might have a wife and a good career and kids. Maybe he just likes to masturbate while sniffing a girl's sweatsuit. I don't know.
But that's a problem.
That's not a problem. That's his thing. I'm just saying he should take some of that money and invest it into some homeless people who need some help.
Well, right. That's what I guess. That's what I'm like. $50,000 for a girl's sweatsuit. Like, there's somewhere inside this guy, there's a problem.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Some would say problem. Some say kink. Whatever you like. I mean, I have no...
$50,000 could go to a lot of good, is what you're saying, and that's true.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you got $50,000 to spend on that, maybe you should take, at least 10 and go help some homeless people or something. Now, don't help all the homeless people, because there's a lot of scam artists out there.
If the dude has a career, a wife, and children, he's not watching this girl on video and spending $50,000 on her sweatsuit with them knowing about it. He's doing it behind their fucking back.
I don't know what he
That's not good either.
I don't know what they know.
I'm just being kind of...
I'm just
throwing out there in theory what the truth probably really is.
I mean, some wives have no problem with that.
He's not sitting in the fucking kitchen on his laptop being like, hey, kids, gather around. Grab your bowl of cereal and come on over and see what Pops is doing.
I don't know.
This is this naked young lady that I like watching, and I love her so much. See that sweatsuit that she's wearing.
Well, maybe his wife knows about it. I'm sure the kids don't, but a lot of people keep a lot of things from kids. But, I mean, there's a lot of wives into whatever their husband's into.
That's true.
I mean, there's couples that get, dolls and have three-ways with dolls and do all kinds of kinky shit. I mean, whatever you're into is whatever you're into. I don't care, but I'm just saying... If you got $50,000 to spend on a sweatsuit, you can probably part with $5,000 to help a homeless guy.
And I can definitely understand like panties, sneakers, socks, sweatsuits compared to a fucking burp.
The burp.
You're literally spending $2,000 on dirty Tupperware, bro.
Yeah, the burp got me.
You're gonna have to fucking wash it before you could use anything to keep stored fresh.
The fingernail clippings in the Ziploc bag also got me. The pubic hair trimmings also. I was like,
Yeah, that stuff though. In theory, you could fucking clone another can girl.
Well, not for...
At least you got her DNA there.
Not for a while.
Well,
I mean, we're nowhere near that technology, but...
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
We definitely are.
Well, we are.
Just not the people that are...
Yeah, not the people that are...
spending money on
right.
views.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I mean, the black market fucking undercover technology
And then
that we have
now-
out there, which is interesting because that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Kind of, yes.
So.
And now we've got the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is funny, but kind of wrong, because really, okay, Biden does so many dumb things to begin with, and fucks up so much on speeches just randomly, that really, do we need to add things and make fake video spoofs of him doing so? So they took a video of his wife making a speech and him walking away. Well, the funny part is, they took the video and they added ice cream truck music to it. So as he walks away, right, and then they cut in.
I fucking love the internet, dude.
Then they cut in a scene of him eating ice cream. So yeah, so now it looked like he was walking away from his wife's speech, all happy because he heard the ice cream truck go by.
Can you imagine living life without the internet?
Oh,
because I mean,
I did. I mean, I did.
I know, and I
most
can't
of my
even
life.
fucking imagine it because it's too it's fucking funny, dude. That's hilarious.
Well, if it wasn't for the internet, nobody would listen to us. So. Right. We would just be. Actually, we could. I mean,
how much?
There was radio,
so much comedy has been spread through the internet.
I mean,
and I know it gets used for evil things, but so does everything else because that's what human beings do. But my God, it's been funny.
I mean, technically, if
fucking ice cream, that's goddamn brilliant.
Guys like me and you before the internet had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to a radio station to do what we were doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would maybe still be doing what we're doing. We would just be doing it at a radio station and actually.
We would have to actually be making money.
Yeah, we would make money then, doing it. But anyways, I digress. Okay? So, what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is a conspiracy. And I'm going to put it out there up front that it is a conspiracy because none of what we're going to say has ever been verified. Do I believe it? Well, we were just discussing that before we started recording, and I don't know. I'm a man of two minds about it, Jason. I mean, on the one hand, again, I'm the kind of person that says if one thing's possible, it's all possible. I also do believe that the government keeps 99% of everything they know from us.
Yeah.
So, is all of this possible? Of course it is. Do I necessarily believe that it's actually happening? Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Now, is it a high possibility? Of course it is. Because of what it was and what it could be, there's possibilities all around. But we're going to talk about the Black Knight satellite. Now, you know about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard about it.
Okay. Now, for all of you that don't know, the Black Knight satellite is a theory or a assumption that there has been a satellite orbiting the Earth for about 13,000 years. And originally, it was Nikola Tesla who they contribute to the first occurrence of this happening. And
he thought he was receiving signals from Mars.
Yeah, he thought it was from Mars.
But they think it might have been from this Black Knight satellite.
Well, that's what the theorists are putting out there, that it was from the actual satellite. And the other side of that is that now NASA and other people are saying that he was actually receiving pulsar signals from pulsar stars and didn't know what they were. Which, to me, that sounds, first of all, as wonky as saying it's from a satellite. Because you don't know that he was receiving it from pulsar stars. You have no idea where this signal is coming from.
No.
Neither does he, neither do we.
Right.
But
what he did know was that he was receiving a signal.
Yeah, and it was a radio signal that he could detect.
That wasn't natural.
Correct. And it was also telling him things that he did not already know. So to say it's just a pulsar star and then all of a sudden he makes these inventions based on these signals he's receiving is kind of convenient for me. I'm not saying it was a satellite, but what I'm saying is it was obviously not of this world because it was telling him things that at the time he did not know.
Right.
So, a little background. He was inventing, if you know anything about Tesla, he was inventing or trying to invent, which he did invent, a wireless radio tower. The first wireless radio tower. So when he was inventing this tower, he was going to send a wireless signal across the earth, which was the first cellular signal. Actually, interestingly, also a side point on this. Did you know that the patent office has reversed that like 2 or 3 times about Tesla? They said Marconi invented the first radio and did the first radio signal. And then they went back and took it away from Marconi and said, no, it was Tesla. Because there's actual proof that Tesla was actually the one who invented radio.
It was Tesla, for sure.
Right. And then they went back because no one liked Tesla.
Yeah.
And they didn't like Tesla because Tesla was mainly trying to give free electricity to everybody. And they were like, oh, no, we're not having that shit. We're going to shut this fucker down now before he invents this shit.
Basically, the powers to be that run this planet, right, are about power, control, money. They're evil.
Correct.
Tesla is not. And that was his biggest downfall.
Yeah, Tesla.
He wanted to do, his mindset was, to help everybody on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Tesla wanted to invent
and it wasn't
his
about
inventions.
money.
Right, he wanted to invent his inventions, he wanted to be left alone, he wanted to help everybody. And that does not work for powerful people. Because now you're taking the money away from them, and that's a no-no.
I mean, my sister just told me her utility bill for this month was $317, right? What Tesla was proposing, you would never have a utility bill.
Or if you did, it'd be very small.
Right.
It'd be a very minor utility bill.
Correct.
That's why they shut down every proposition for free electricity. Or, because they just had a proposition not too long ago where they could make a salt battery and it would renew and it would give free electricity to everybody. And of course, immediately was shut down. They said, no, it'll never work because of this, never work because of that.
Yeah.
And let's get to the real point. The real point is it will never work because there's no way in hell they're going to allow that to happen.
Right.
Just like GM, my father told me this because he worked for GM years ago, and they had a concept car that could fly. They had a concept car that ran on water.
Yeah.
A man built an engine where the car ran on water. But you will never see that car.
Right.
You will never see a car that flies, and I'll tell you why. Because there's too much money in the tire industry. There's too much money in the oil and gasoline industry for them to make something
100%.
that destroys that industry.
Because, Tesla had a car running on electricity in 1908.
Of course
that
it
went 90 miles an hour.
But they would never do it.
I mean, it's not a coincidence that the electric car company that's coming to fruition now is called fucking Tesla. There's a reason for that.
They only let him come to fruition for a little bit. And that's why they're going to reduce the climate impact, but they'll never eliminate it because it's not profitable. And profit is above everything.
That's it.
Period. That's why they don't cure a lot of diseases. They just give you a pill to make you live with them.
Right.
That's why AIDS isn't cured, but they have a pill that'll suppress it to the point where you can live the rest of your life with that, but you got to take our pill. Because that's profitable.
Right, it's not free.
Right. But let's get back to this Black Knight satellite. So, where was I? I lost my place, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, one of the first things that puts up a red flag to me that this very well could be a reality. If there's a satellite, well, first off, it orbits in a polar orbit, from north to south pole. It's just been within probably the last 15, 20 years, that we have invented satellites that can orbit the Earth.
Yes,
from north to south pole.
Right. Before that, they all had to orbit on the Clark's Belt, which is around the Earth.
Yes.
Because orbiting the North and South Pole requires propulsion.
Right, a whole different fucking set of physics.
And that is where I also run into the problem of it being a natural occurring satellite, like an asteroid.
Yeah.
Because an asteroid, no, it would not orbit in a north to south pole orbit. It would orbit around in the Clark's belt, just like that's why they call it the
everything
Clark's
orbits
belt.
each other, right?
That's why they call it the Clark's belt, because it's debris from space, asteroids and rocks that orbit our Earth, get pulled into the gravitational rotation of the Earth, and it's called the Clark's belt because that's what it does. It doesn't orbit north and south pole, because nothing orbits that way. The moon doesn't orbit that way. Nothing orbits that way. It all orbits around the Earth, around. It's not
circular.
Yeah, not elliptical. And this is orbiting. Not only is it orbiting north and south.
Some can be elliptical.
Yeah.
But they can't be. I mean, nothing natural is going to go straight north-south.
No, and this
there
actually,
are some that aren't perfectly circular, right?
But they all orbit in the Clark's belt area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's around the Earth. But this is orbiting north-south pole, and like I just said, it's orbiting actually slightly off in an elliptical orbit around north-south, which is even more impossible.
Yeah.
Because even our satellites can't do that. They orbit north-south, but they can't orbit slightly off.
Yeah. But like, if there's, so the fact that we're sitting here talking about this, right, and it could be real and it could be not real, but the fact that we're talking about this means that there's people out there making claims that it is real.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And all NASA has to say about that is, probably just space junk.
Yeah, that's what they say now. No,
so
originally,
it's like,
before...
what do you mean probably? Hey, like probably? You're fucking NASA. If somebody is making a claim that something's out there polar orbiting it, or Earth, you probably want to do some research into it so you can probably give us a good answer.
Well, again...
Not just, space junk.
Why would space junk, again, even if it is a blanket, like what they're saying, they say it's a thermal blanket from a 1980-something mission, but if that's what it is, why is it orbiting? First of all, the Earth.
Period.
Secondly, why is it orbiting north and south? It has some kind of propulsion on a thermal blanket that I don't know about?
Hey. Yeah, dude. So that answer, right? Those answers right there put up red flags to me. Like, whoa. You know what I mean? That sounds like somebody that knows something that does not want me asking questions and wants me to just go away.
Right. Well, see, then you got the other thing, which is in 1927, after Tesla and everything got these messages, and he said he was receiving what he thought was from Mars, but they were more directed straight from the Earth, clearly. But then you look at 1927, and there was a Norwegian civil engineer. He was a ham radio hobbyist called Jorgen Hulls. And he started receiving strange responses on his ham radio signals. And he said that he was sending out codes, Morse codes, through his ham radio. He was getting intelligent responses back.
Really?
But they weren't coming from the regular ham radio signal. They were coming from outside the Earth. And he could detect this because he knew. So he said they were coming from some alien something outside the Earth's atmosphere. But they had to be ham radio and get those kind of signals, they had to be close enough to receive them. So they couldn't be thousands of miles away. Now again, NASA has, some things about this, and they're like, oh no, he's just receiving some random signal from someone else. Like he don't know what he's talking about. It's just like the theory of Roswell was a weather balloon.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Exactly.
This nonsense is always made up craziness. And they always come up with shit that don't even make no sense. It's like, oh, it's a thermal blanket that just happens to be orbiting in a way that nothing else orbits the Earth.
Right.
And it's been orbiting way before people knew about it. And people have seen it on telescopes way before we could put a satellite up there and way before we were going into space. This thing's been orbiting. But it's a thermal blanket from the 80s. Even though they saw it in the 60s, they saw it in the, it's a thermal blanket.
Like 90% of people, even if you start talking to them about this, they don't give a fucking shit to begin with.
Mm.
And then another 5%, they might actually listen to what you're saying, but then they're going to go look. They're going to go Google it, and they're going to see NASA says it's probably just space junk from a thermal blanket, and then they're not going to give any more thought to it at all.
Well, see, there was also Dukin. There we go. There's the first shot, ladies and gentlemen.
There's two.
There's two shots.
Dukin, is that a name?
Damn.
Because you're telling on yourself. You very well could have just went with it.
No, his name is Duncan. His name is Duncan.
I wouldn't have thought
Lunan.
Folks, that's Brian's honesty for you. So you need to go ahead and take two shots.
Yeah, if you're playing the game, that's
you need to tell your friends about us because that's how he could have just went with Dukin.
Yeah, I could have lied.
We would have never had a fucking clue.
But see,
hell, I kind of like the name.
Yeah, let me tell you guys something. I care so much about my podcast audience and you listeners that I would not lie to you. If I fuck up a word, I'm going to tell you.
You could have goddamn
right. His name is Duncan, not Dukin. And Dukin isn't even the name, I don't think. So
I'll tell you what, if I ever have a son, it will be
Dukin.
Dukin Brian Dickinson.
Okay, his name was
DVD.
Actually, his last name almost goes with Duncan because his name was actually Duncan Lunan. And Dukin Lunan was even better.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But he was an amateur astronomer. He was also a science fiction author, so they kind of discredit him because of the science fiction author thing.
Of course.
Of course. But, they gloss over the fact that, this guy's also an astronomer. But in 1973, he researched the phenomenon. There we go. That's the beer kicking in. That's what that is. Thank you. Yeah, which is called LDEs, which is long delayed echoes, which are echoes they get from. You get echoes from long distance stars and stuff like that. And he said that they were actually intelligent transmissions. And he believes they come from a galaxy called Epsilon Botus. Okay? And he cites Stanford University professor Ron Bracewell's theory of alien probes known as the Basewell probes. He believes that the probes, and this is where we get the 13,000 years, because Ron Bracewell said these probes have been coming to our atmosphere for over 13,000 years from the Epsilon Boots area. So they believe they're getting radio transmissions from this universe. And they're just really old radio transmissions because it takes a long time, for them to get to the Earth. But despite Lucan. Oh God!
There's your father.
And there's another shot for ladies and gentlemen. There,
starting to get them lubed up a little here for a Monday night.
I know we are warming them up here.
There's no football on, folks, but man,
I'm telling you what, that's 3 shots in a row.
It's starting to get saucy.
If I keep fucking up, they're not even going to make it to the end of the podcast. We're only halfway through here. Oh my God. Okay, despite Lunan. He said he didn't refute. He didn't say it definitely came from the Black Knight satellite. They usually put his name in there because he mentions satellites, and he mentions they're coming from probes. And then you got this Stanford professor saying, yeah, there's definitely probes that have been sent to our Earth, 13,000 years at least that we know of. And obviously there's some kind of scientific backing for what these people are saying, or they wouldn't be saying it.
Well, yeah.
But then NASA started talking to Lunan, and all of a sudden he recanted the whole story.
Hello?
I'm just saying. Just saying.
McFly, I thought I told you to never come in here.
Right. All of a sudden NASA goes, hey guy, how about you shut the fuck up about alien probes, all right? And all of a sudden, well, I didn't mean... This is not what I meant. Hey, we weren't talking about alien probes. No, let's just forget I ever said that. Okay, let's forget that the Stanford professor has been talking about this and about 13,000. We'll forget all that because NASA came and talked to me, and now all of a sudden my story's different. Just like when there's an alien abduction or Roswell, all of a sudden what they saw was not what they saw. Why? Because All of a sudden, the authorities come in, NASA comes in, the government comes in. All of a sudden, these people start recanting their stories.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. You figure it out.
Well, because NASA's not coming in here
No.
talking to us.
No.
But that's because we don't have a following, right? We can't affect enough people, right, to be sitting here talking about all the fucking shit we talk about. That nobody needs to come shut us up.
And let me
But
tell you
people like
something.
this who are reaching out to a big group of people, they have the truth, and NASA knows. Why is NASA talking to why would NASA go to anybody?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Why do you even care?
What are
Right.
you doing here?
Why don't you just not say nothing?
Right. Because they know that what he's saying is true, and they need him to shut the fuck up. I mean, if you think it's weird, if you think it's outlandish or anything that a satellite could be orbiting our Earth that's from somewhere else, it's really not that far-fetched considering we have satellites orbiting other bodies out there in the universe right now. You know what I mean? We have goddamn satellites everywhere.
Well, here you go. Now
We have a fucking robot that's on goddamn Mars.
Of course. We sent out a satellite, and it's still going. And that's Explorer.
Right.
Still headed out there.
Yes.
So eventually it's going to run into some type of intelligent life.
And if it happens to get sucked into an orbit, it's not going to be a north-south one.
No.
Because that defies the laws of fucking
Physics.
Yes.
Yes, because it shouldn't.
And so
The only way it can go north-south is if there's propulsion involved.
here's the other reason I think that it exists. The Great Pyramid of Giza. I mean, you can dispute and argue how old it is and how long it's been there until you're blue in the face. So, but what we have to agree on is that it is at least 4,000 to 5,000 years old.
Oh, way older than that, but
Okay,
go on.
but at least.
Yeah, at least.
Well, we didn't start flying air fucking planes until what, 1910?
Yeah, somewhere in that tens.
We went to the moon in '69.
Yeah, supposedly.
Right?
let's put a question mark right there.
We didn't know how to get a satellite into polar orbit until recently.
Correct.
Okay?
50s.
But the Great Pyramid of Giza sits in the exact center of the Earth's landmass, not in the exact center of the Earth. The exact center of the Earth's land mass.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that you could get that fucking figure, the only way that you can know where that is by polar orbiting the Earth to scan the landmass.
Well, it also lays on ley lines and points polar north.
That points that you can't get
Not from the Earth.
unless you get an information sent back to you from an polar orbit that is scanning the Earth.
Well, you heard about the Coral Castle, too. We're going to have to do an episode on him, too.
Dude,
the guy who built the Coral Castle.
I want to go there bad.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about, then. For all of you who don't know what the Coral Castle is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This little skinny guy, using nothing but hand tools and pulleys, made this huge castle with perfectly laser-cut blocks, so perfectly cut that they fit together with no mortar. And you can't even fit a blade of grass in between these stones. And he made a huge...
Granite stones.
Yeah.
Several ton granite.
Yeah.
That
And made a
that are
huge
fucking
castle.
laying on top. I mean, he's got... Yeah.
And his... the way he said he built it was...
He built by himself.
Yes, by himself, no help, no machinery. And he said he learned the secrets of the Egyptians. So he knew the secrets that no one else knows of how the Egyptian pyramids were built. So, and...
I've seen somewhere, too, like, he didn't... Somebody had to bring him the granite blocks, right?
Yeah.
So, they would bring the granite blocks on a semi-trailer, on a flat semi-trailer.
Yeah,
right?
and they had to use cranes to get them off.
And right. And then once they got him off, he just had them get him off, right?
Yeah.
That was it. And then get the fuck lost.
Yeah.
And he worked at night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, one of the truck drivers said he fucking dropped them off. And he said he passed back by there like 2 hours later.
And they were
all
gone.
fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
But this dude had
Well, not only that, he moved the whole building once. He had to move it from one spot to another. And the truck driver, he said that his instructions were to drop off the truck, leave for an hour.
Yeah.
And when he'd come back, the blocks were loaded on the truck without this guy having any crane or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know how he got him up on the truck, how he moved him
Well,
in.
like you said, he said he had the secrets of the Egyptians. The
Right.
secrets of the people that built the pyramids.
Right.
Meaning, there's only one, I mean, it has to do with frequency. It has to do with sound. Because the only other thing he had, besides the things you said, was this black box.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what this black box was.
Yeah, he made it.
Right. If you
Well, what he said it had to do with...
basically, if you get the right frequency, the right sound, you can make anything weightless.
Well, no, what he said it had to do with was magnetic. He said he figured out how to use magnetic and gravity to his advantage. But anyways, let's get back to the Black Knight satellite. That's a whole nother episode.
But yeah, but the black, right. So somebody that built the Giza pyramid knew exactly where the center of the landmass was on the Earth. Mm-hmm. And the only way they could have known that is if they had something orbiting it north-south. So that's like another piece of evidence that really jumps out at me.
Well, see, in 1960, there was a Time magazine article about a Soviet spy satellite detected by the U.S. Navy. Now, later they identified this as U.S. Satellite Discover 5, but a lot of people say it happened to be the Black Knight satellite falling out of orbit, okay? Or part of the Black Knight satellite coming out of orbit. Because they never showed the actual satellite. Okay, they never showed the Discover 5 satellite in 1960. They never showed the piece that they supposedly found. And after this Time magazine article was released, here we go again, government steps in and says, hold on, let me talk to you about this. They went to a conference, all of a sudden, now it's another satellite. Oh yeah, we can't explain this. It was something else entirely. You're wrong. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was something, we figured out what it is. No big deal, you guys. It's just a weather balloon. No big deal. It's a weather balloon.
Right.
We figured, it's a weather balloon. Wasn't aliens. No, sir. No, it's a weather balloon. Then there was Gordon Cooper. And he was an astronaut. Gordon Cooper was an astronaut on Project Mercury. And in 63, when he came back from space, this is what Gordon Cooper said. He said that he saw a satellite, or what he called a satellite at the time. He said it looked like it was going north-south orbit around the Earth, polar orbit. And then he saw a spaceship, he said, with this green mist filling up inside of it and coming out all around it. Now, this is what he said. And then, when he gets back to Earth, right, after he said this, and then he talked to NASA, all of a sudden, he again, like everybody else, recanted his statement and said, no, I was wrong. It must have been just my imagination. And then NASA said, this is the funniest part. This is what NASA said was the reason. The Project Mercury shuttle he was in was leaking small amounts of carbon monoxide. And it was causing him to slightly hallucinate in the capsule. That's why he saw the things he saw that weren't there. I mean, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course he was hallucinating.
No, that
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. There is.
Carbon monoxide.
That's carbon monoxide hallucinations.
You're right. He didn't see any. He didn't see any alien spacecraft. Obviously, he was clearly on LSD.
Yeah,
it was a weather balloon. No big deal. It's just a weather balloon.
Fine.
Nothing big.
Nothing to see here.
Then there was a photo that NASA released in 1998 on their website that's been up there for a while, and I'm going to go into another photo that NASA recently released and recently pulled off their website quite quickly. Let me explain this one. They pulled this photo as quickly, basically it was only up for about a day.
Right.
Few hours, and all of a sudden it was jerked, and they said, oh, well, we lost that footage. Okay, but we're going to get into the photo in 98 first. In 98, there was a photo of the Black Knight satellite, or the Dark Knight satellite. It was a murky image, a silhouette. It was an unidentified object of a object going, again, polar orbit, north-south. It was taken during the first space shuttle mission to the International Space Station. But according to NASA, and this is where they go, it was a thermal blanket dropped by Jerry Ross during his spacewalk. They said the loss of the blanket was even captured on film. So they lose a blanket on a spacewalk. This blanket just happens to float into the Earth's orbit and just happens to go north and south. It's amazing how that happens, especially with no propulsion. Just randomly starts circulating north and south orbit. It's amazing. Now then, let me explain the other photo. This was released only a few months ago. And a guy got it, thank God, and downloaded the image before they could take it off the NASA website. It was an image, and you will not see it now. Sometimes you can still possibly look it up online, but this guy's been shut down too. And it amazes me that if it's nothing, why are you so intent on shutting it down and destroying the information? If it's nothing more than a glitch in your camera or whatever you're going to say it is, then why the hell are you so intent on shutting it down? But this guy was watching the NASA website, which he does quite often, and his computer caught something. And it is a black shape. Okay, it looks exactly square, looks exactly like a cube. And I saw the video because it was released before NASA could stop him from releasing it. But it shows right off the NASA website a black cube coming around the sun and towards the Earth. A black cube orbiting the sun and coming towards the Earth. It's only about a minute and a half. It starts to come towards the NASA camera, and all of a sudden the signal cuts off. And according to NASA, they lost that footage because there was a solar flare right at that exact moment, and it wiped out all the footage. It's amazing.
It is.
It's amazing that the satellite is said to orbit the Earth, and it's black, and then you get another satellite type image coming around the sun towards the Earth, but that footage got lost also. Of course it did. It's amazing. It's a thermal blanket. It's a weather balloon. Footage got lost. It's amazing how things happen. I swear to God, if I was that incompetent, I don't know how they put a space shuttle anywhere when they're losing thermal blankets and their footage just gets erased instantly.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how incompetent
That,
this
right.
place is.
And that, so that tells me right there that it's real. They know it's real.
Of course.
And so then the question is, well, who put it there? Who put it there? Why? When? Where are they at? What are they doing?
Well, and this is where we get into some of the theories. Now that we've went over the whole thing of the Black Knight, let's get into some of the theories. Now, the first obvious theory is that the alien race that people believe visits the Earth quite frequently, the Greys are one of the many,
Right.
put it there to, observe us, to probe us, to orbit us,
Is it the all-seeing eye?
Right. Now, a lot of people say it's from an alien race, and they put it there just to, monitor the Earth.
Right.
Now, another theory, and this one I find a much more distinct possibility, because think about this for a second. We send satellites out all the time. You know, Explorer, all these. Now, these satellites, if they keep going on their trajectory out into space, they're eventually going to run into an intelligent life form or another planet. And they might eventually start orbiting that planet because they do have propulsion systems, this and that. So is it possible that another alien race, thousands and thousands of years ago, did send out a satellite to do the same thing we do? Just send it out, you know, looking for information on the galaxy, just like what we do. And it just got stuck in Earth's orbit.
Sure.
And that's highly possible. In fact, that's not only possible, it's probable.
Well, or they just, like us. Like, we're here. We look out into space. You know, we see Mars and Venus and Jupiter and Saturn. We see their moons. And we send out satellites to go. I mean, like Mars, like I said, there's the rover. It's on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also satellites we have orbiting the planet. Right? We had to send satellites out first. We have to get images. We have to get data and information. We have to know the layout. We have to know where can we drop this thing. Where are we going to send it, right? What are we looking for? They have to, like they call it the Valles Marineris, right? The big valley that's in Mars. I mean, this motherfucker's 5 times bigger than the Grand fucking Canyon.
Right.
They can't just have the rover, right? Just go right over the motherfucker.
Right, no.
Or fall down in it.
Right.
They got to know where it's at, how to navigate
a couple
around
rovers
it.
have fallen in
Sure.
Canyon.
Well, but you see what I'm saying? Like so this could be, and I think it's really interesting that you read earlier that it's connected to the Epsilon Bootis constellations. Because I was just watching the video the other day, and this lady claimed that she was abducted by beings, and they were from Epsilon Bootis.
And a lot of people have claimed that. That's not the first time people have said that.
No, it's like really, it's becoming really prevalent in a lot of alien abduction.
Well, the Greys are supposedly from there.
Sure.
The Greys are supposedly from Epsilon Bootis. And it's possible, because it's our closest galaxy to us.
Right.
So, yes, if there's intelligent life in that galaxy, which...
Or star system.
Yeah, in that star system. Then, yes, it would be easy for them to come here and see us, because we would be their closest neighbor.
Right, but what they probably would have done beforehand was send out a satellite, you know, to orbit the planet and get information and see what the fuck's going on.
Well, my favorite theory, and the one I like the best, I think, is that they say it came from us. That this satellite, and I think this makes more sense than anything, because if you think about it, at this point, the government pretty much has released enough information that they're pretty much admitting to the fact that aliens have came and visited us. Okay? Since the Freedom of Information Act, there has been tons of information dumped about Air Force pilots seeing ships.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And from them, I mean, they pretty much said Roswell actually happened.
There's been a
we
lot
lied.
of disclosure.
Right. I mean, they're pretty much at this point saying, yeah, Roswell happened, we lied, there was an Area 51.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, our bad, we lied, okay?
Right.
It really happened.
Right.
Sorry.
Come on.
Yeah, they're here.
You see why we couldn't tell you.
Yeah, we couldn't tell you in the 50s and 60s because, shit, y'all would have freaked the fuck out. You know, but enough people realize it now that we're just going to say, yeah, okay, you caught us. Okay, you got us. But what I like about this theory is that they're trying to hide it. And this plays right into the fact that they would try to hide this. Because it's a theory that there was an advanced race on this planet way before us. And like we were talking about before we started recording, they just discovered Ardia off the European continent. Okay, it was a huge continent of land. For anybody that doesn't know out there in podcast world, to all our listeners, Ardea was a huge continent of land. And after the Ice Age, when the continents were shifting and this and that, it kind of slid underneath Italy and underneath Greece and stuff. So it was a huge continent that they think at one time had life on it. It slid under these and was destroyed. So they know it's under the ocean. They know it's a huge continent about the size of Greenland. And they found this. Okay? Not only that, but they've just recently found, as I was telling you, a wall off the continental shelf of Spain where Plato said Atlantis was. So now they're kind of getting evidence that, wait, Plato wasn't just making this shit up.
Right.
Because where he said Atlantis was, now they're finding evidence that there is a city under the water there where Atlantis was supposed to be. And that's where Atlantis was. So if you take that, wait, we're finding evidence that there was a city right there where Atlantis was supposed to be, where Plato said it was. And then we're finding that Lemuria was actually a big continent once, where now is Australia and New Zealand. That's the tops of Lemuria. Okay, that's all we can see now because the rest of it's way under the ocean where we can't get to.
Yeah.
Okay. So they know the continent of Lemuria was once above water, and there was these huge tsunamis. And, you know, over the years, guys, there's a lot of things that happen. Tsunamis, earthquakes. This earth has changed a million times.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, just from the dinosaurs
It's
till
always
now.
shifting. The Earth's always shifting.
Yeah, just from the dinosaurs till now, we know that the earth has changed so much. You know, it's unreal how much it's changed. And the continents have shifted. And once, you know, there was Pangea. Everything was a big, huge, ungodly landmass in the middle of the ocean. Huge landmass, all connected. And all of this shit broke apart. We know this. Okay? We know that for a fact. And we know that dinosaurs now lived where we thought they didn't live, which was in the northern parts of the world during the Ice Age. You know? There were dinosaurs that survived that. So we know all of this now that we didn't know years ago. So to say that there wasn't an advanced race here that was much more advanced than we are, that's just retarded. It's almost like saying fairy tales, you know, are real. It's illogical, if you think about it, to say that there wasn't an advanced culture here.
Right.
So a lot of people are saying this Dark Knight satellite was actually sent by us, and it's remnants of a culture that used to be here.
Could be.
That they had satellites, just like we do.
Sure.
And they figured out shit that we didn't know, and it's the last remnants of a very, very ancient culture that we don't know about. And hell, who's to say that the ones in Epsilon Botus aren't us? That they didn't get off the planet, that they didn't go to another star system because of the destruction that was happening here.
Right.
But that's the theory I like the best because I think it's one of the most believable ones. Because obviously there was an advanced culture, but people don't want you to know this. That's the one thing the government would never want you to know, is that there was an advanced race here way before us. Because they want you to believe that we're the epitome of technology, that we're the top of the food chain,
right.
We're the number one, and we always have been.
Yeah, they want you to think that we're on on a gradual incline from 5,000 years ago when we magically went from apes to humans, and we've been on this steady incline, and right now we're at the pinnacle of how smart and technological we've ever been. But there's just too much evidence supporting that that's not true.
Well, speaking of apes to humans, I was reading something interesting. I know this is completely off the topic, kind of, but you mentioned evolution, so I thought I'd bring it up because it's interesting. At least to me, it's interesting. I'm sure it'll be interesting to everybody else. Do you know? Okay, what sound do we make to keep a baby from crying or to settle people down? Shh. Do you know why we make that sound? Okay. Our oldest mammalian ancestor that they can prove was a tree shrew. Okay? And back in the day, tree shrews had to live in trees because the predators would eat them if they got down there on the ground. So they lived in trees. Well, what else can get into trees? Reptiles, snakes. Okay, what sound does a snake make? Shh.
Yeah.
Shh. So our mammalian ancestor would teach its baby to make the sound of a snake so that the snake wouldn't eat the babies. So they would teach the babies to make the sound of shh, shh, shh.
Right.
And it is evolutionary, came down over the years to teach us, still to this day, it's an evolutionary trait, that's how we calm down our young.
Yeah.
Because of our evolutionary tree shrews that had to do that to stop the predators from eating the baby. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But, back to the point, there had to be a race way before ours. And we're talking probably millions and millions and millions and millions and millions on top of millions of years ago. I mean, you're talking so many millions of years ago, we can't even fathom it. Because we know the dinosaurs alone were here, 900 million years ago? 600 million years ago? All of that?
65.
Yeah. Well, some of them, they've dated back to 300 million years at this point?
Right.
Right. So we know 300 million years ago there was life on this planet that was not us. Who's to say millions of years before that there wasn't life on this planet?
Right. Absolutely.
Right. A culture way more advanced than us.
Yeah, there could.
I mean, you gotta understand. The Earth is billions and billions upon billions at a rough estimate of years old.
Yeah, 4.5 billion.
Right, and that's a rough estimate.
That's your mainstream estimate.
Right, that's the mainstream estimate.
Right.
And it could be even more than that. Okay, but they say 4.5 billion years ago the Earth existed. Okay? So, in the 4.5 billion years that this planet has been around, to think that just the dinosaurs and us are the only ones that have ruled this planet is insanity.
Well, it is, absolutely.
Of course it is.
I mean, just recently, just the discoveries they've made of the human, body and brain and how we operate. I mean, people think that they're getting an idea, but you're not really. You're downloading information from the universe. So that information is already out there. Every time you have a thought, it sends out a light wave into the universe. And so you're literally downloading and picking up information. And then some people go with that and they invent something. Well, you're not inventing something. You're reinventing something. Right? You're rediscovering what is already out there in the universe. Which was probably already here on a civilization that was here before us. And now we're just rediscovering these things and bringing them back.
Well, what I found fascinating, going back to Tesla, is that Tesla used to say that he would see his whole invention already made, and he felt that it came from external sources directly broadcasted into his brain.
Yes, exactly.
He would see this invention completely invented, made, and then
take it apart.
He would take it apart, backwards engineer it to build it.
Only using his mind.
Right, but he said the invention was broadcast to him in his brain.
Oh, absolutely.
Without his knowledge. He said, I didn't invent anything. He said I was given this.
We are receivers.
Well, that's what he said. He said, I didn't invent any of this. He said, I received this information from external sources.
Yes.
All I did was figure out how to make it. He said, I already knew what it was because I was receiving the image from somewhere outside of myself.
Yeah, that's
He
what
said-
basically got him cast out.
Yeah. Well, one of the many things. I mean, the fact that he started coming up with things that could destroy the planet. And it's also amazing to me that the government did with Tesla what they did with this kind of Black Knight satellite thing. They discredited him.
Mm-hmm.
They made him seem insane. They said, none of your shit's worthwhile. We're going to discredit you. We're going to make you look like a nutbag. And that's what they do. That's what they do with Tesla. But what's funny is they did that, but yet when he died, the FBI seized all of his information. And
Just chests upon chests of
yes,
papers.
and 90% of it, even after the Freedom of Information Act, 90% of it has still not been released.
Right.
So, there's no useful value to any of his information. He didn't invent a death ray. He didn't do any of this. Right? That's your official statement. But you still have the information. Why? Why? And why is it hundreds of years later we invented cell phones, which he invented back in 1901?
Oh, dude, they gradually have brought out all the I mean, this motherfucker invented X-rays.
He invented lasers.
Lasers.
He called it a death ray. And yet, that
Remote
information,
controls, all of it.
but none of it is worth anything. In fact, the death ray never worked. But yet, it's funny. Almost 50 years later, you invent a laser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And he knew how to invent it back in 1901. Okay? But he knew about things that you would never know. Now, where was he getting this information? You're telling me he was just a genius? No. He was getting this information from a source outside himself, exactly what he said. He was tapping into a race that already knew this information and was broadcasting it straight through a satellite to his brain or to his tower and telling him, hey, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're going to give you this information. And it's funny you mentioned the Egyptians because it kind of happened the same way with the Egyptians. They were broadcasting the information, this technology on how to build the pyramids, how to make electricity, all this to the Egyptians. Thousands and thousands of years before Tesla, and then the Egyptians pissed this race off. Somehow, they cut off the technology, and that's when Egypt started to fall. It was like a huge, all of a sudden, the technology was done. And then, thousands of years later, they're like, you know what? We're going to give them a second chance, okay? We're going to give them a second chance. We're going to talk to this really intelligent guy, and we're going to give him the information. We're going to give him a second chance, this race. And then, what did we do? We did the same thing we always do, which was discredit and destroy something that almost seemed like they were trying to be beneficial to us. And they said again, well, fine, you don't want to listen. You're obviously not ready.
I mean, I think it's definitely a possibility that we are an experiment
Oh, yeah.
of a more, I mean, I guess, spiritually advanced. Because I believe maybe the Black Knight satellite is monitoring what we're doing. And it's just like us as individual humans, right? Nobody gives a shit what you do. You don't give a shit what I do. I can do whatever you want as long as you aren't hurting someone else, right? As long as you are not being harmful to anyone else but yourself, that's fine. Same thing. I mean, as above, so below. Go on a fucking bigger scale. Somebody created us, right? And as long as we're just down here being dumb old fucking humans, just fucking shooting each other and at fucking war with each other and at odds with each other, fucking everybody separated and everybody fucking hates each other, You know what I mean? Because you're white and I'm black and you're gay and you're straight and you're women and you're male and you're fat and you're skinny, then whatever. But I just find it interesting that all this UFO and alien shit just out of nowhere starts popping up. All this technology starts booming into existence, right? Right at about the time we start setting off fucking nuclear bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So somebody's monitoring us. We're not fucking hurting anybody else out in the universe. You start setting off fucking nuclear bombs, you're sending a signal out into the universe, right? A bad energy, bad vibration saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? We got a fucking problem. Because not these motherfuckers have nuclear fucking bombs.
Right.
And that means that they're getting ready to get out into space. If they've got the technology to create that bomb, they've got technology to get out into space. You motherfuckers can't let your experiment get off out into space. They're not ready for it. Right? You can't be out in fucking space, fucking flying around the universe, populating planets, if you are a fucking evil person. Right? There's rules to this. And that's what I think possibly the Black Knight satellite is. You know what I'm saying? It's a monitoring device. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it picks up the signals of what's going on, what the humans are doing. Boom, hey, they're to that stage again. Right? Like you were talking about. There could have been thousands or millions of civilizations on this planet. And maybe they keep getting to a certain point, right? And some are going to get wiped out just by natural cataclysms. Some of them are going to get wiped out because they're fucking blowing each other off the fucking planet. But once you have that nuclear bomb, right, then now whoever it is that's monitoring us has to make sure that we don't go any fucking farther. You know what I mean? We can't let them fucking out into space. We got to make sure they're not fucking setting off nukes. I mean, there's so many stories about nuclear bombs being fucking fucked with UFOs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, and like I said, it could be an advanced race that left this planet, and they saw that, hey, these Neanderthals are starting to evolve, and then they're coming back. And like you said, they're monitoring us with a satellite, and they're like, well, let's see what they're doing. Let's see what's happening. Let's see how they evolve. If they learn like we did, or if they're going to destroy each other like we did.
Right.
And we do the wrong things, and they're like, oh no, fuck that. We can't keep giving them information, because if we give them our technology, they're just using it for evil, so...
Right. And see, there's a prime directive.
Yeah.
So, you can't intervene as an outside species with the development of another species.
Right.
So, like, if there's an alien species that created us, they're not allowed to come down and give us all this information and steer us one way or the other. They have to let us figure it out on our own.
Right.
But what they can do, if they see that it's needed, is they can cause a reset.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They can send a flood.
Mm-hmm.
They can send an asteroid. I mean, we're talking about technology redirecting asteroids right now.
Well, it amazes me that up until Tesla, we really didn't make that many advances technologically. We were just kind of faltering. We made a cotton gin, some minor mechanical stuff. Then all of a sudden they seize his technology, and then after he dies, we make these huge advances in a very short time technologically.
Absolutely.
Right. That's not a coincidence. Okay?
No.
And it's almost like these other beings are giving this information, but only to specific people. They're like, we're going to give this information to this guy who's worthy. And that's what it said in the Emerald Tablets. We'll give this information to one person. And they gave it to that Thoth guy. And he said, I'm the keeper of the information.
Yeah.
I'm the one who will distribute it, but I'm only going to distribute it to those people who are worthy of the information I'm giving.
Well,
And once he saw that they were not becoming worthy anymore, which he said in the Emerald Tablets, if you look at it, it's interesting because he said in the Emerald Tablets, this is what he said. He said, the king started taking slaves. He did not agree with that. He said, I'm going to tell you what. You stop making these Jewish people slaves, or I take the technology that I gave your ancestors away. And all of a sudden, when the king said, no, we're the rulers, we'll do what we want, he said, okay, motherfucker, technology gone.
right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Egypt went into a period where, and it's interesting if you look at it, they had this huge technological advancement. Pyramids. I mean, anybody who doesn't think electricity is dumb at this point. Electricity. They had all these advancements that were going on in ancient Egypt, and then all of a sudden there's a period that, whoop,
Well, yeah.
we forgot how to do all of this. Why? Because the people that were giving you the info said, no. You started corrupting what we gave you, so we're going to take it the fuck away. We're not going to give it to you anymore. So now, work on your own. And then a period of decline. And for thousands of years, there was a period of decline. And then they came back and they said, you know what? They've advanced a little more. Maybe they're at the point where they realize they need to treat each other better. They need to treat humans, like brothers, instead of treating each other like pieces of shit and warring and destroying. So we're going to give him a little more technology, but we're only going to give it to this one guy, this Tesla guy. Okay, we're going to give him a little information. We're going to tell him some shit. Okay? And then they saw how they treated Tesla. And they were like, you know what? These motherfuckers never learn.
Right.
So, whoop, nope, we're going to pull our information. We're done.
Yeah, I find it interesting because the Bible talks about
God doing the same
Moses
thing. Yeah.
and taking the Ark of the Covenant. And then Billy Carson was talking about how there is a chamber in the pyramid, the exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're saying could be exactly right.
Yeah.
Somebody gave Moses the information.
Right.
Hey, you need to go grab that, take your fucking people, and go.
Yeah.
And cause think about how hard they were chasing them too.
Mm-hmm.
They had something. Because the Ark of the Covenant was basically the battery or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the pyramid is now worthless.
It was the last information they
had. The Great
had.
Pyramid is worthless, then all your technology is worthless, and you can't make it run without this piece.
Right.
Right? So yeah, I find
And
that
over
interesting.
the years, if you look at the Bible, and then you look at what I'm saying, and you look at everything, that's exactly how it kind of filters down. It's like they gave information. They said, hey, we're giving it to Egypt. Then Egypt started fucking up. They're like, stop it, and they kept doing it. And they're like, okay, we're done.
If you could start to learn to read the Bible as for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is a story,
Mm-hmm.
a myth, but it's actually telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you could fucking bring yourself to understand that, it is an amazing book.
And if you
It's
want to
amazing
call
information.
and if you want to call these people gods or whatever you want to call them, fine. They are gods to us. But the thing is, they gave this technology to Moses, like you said, the ark. And then Moses and them started fucking up.
Yep.
And Moses came off the mountain and he said, what the fuck are y'all doing, man? These people, this God, this being, this race told us not to do this shit. And you all are doing it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? They're going to pull the technology.
Yeah.
And what happened? They kept doing it, and what they say? Well, fuck you, then we'll pull the technology. And then all of a sudden the ark was lost, quote unquote lost, and has never been found. Why? Because they came back down here, they grabbed their shit, and they said, you know what? Fuck y'all, motherfuckers. And then they waited. They waited for a while. And then a guy like Tesla comes along, and they're like, well, maybe now, a lot of years have passed. Maybe they're advanced enough that they're not going to fuck up this time. So they give Tesla all this information, but they treat him like shit. And these guys are looking and they're like, You know, if you're looking from the outside of it, you'd say the same thing. You'd be like, you know what? Fuck this. Fuck this. I'm not giving them any more information because they treat our messenger like shit. And then they pull the information.
Yeah.
In the story.
Yeah, like I said, there's basically they call it the Akashic Records. So if you can imagine that even though you can't see it, all information is traveling on a wave of light that is surrounding you all the time.
Well, you know what's also interesting? Steve Jobs even said that he got information in his dreams from an outside source on how to create things that he did not know how to create.
Sure. Well, there's a lady called Dolores Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically talks about how these beings put the information in when, as they see fit, but not that it's necessarily directed at one person, but that only a few select people are going to be able to tap into the frequency that information is on, because she said the beings don't care who gets the information or who does, you know what I mean? They don't care who develops it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They just put it out there when they feel humanity is ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, then Tesla taps into it, and then all of a sudden he's fucking outcast. He's crazy and blah, blah, blah.
It's funny that these people that tap into it are almost altruistic. They don't care about making money necessarily.
Right.
Look at Steve Jobs. He didn't care about making money. He told Apple, go fuck yourself. He said, all I want to do is invent my shit. He didn't care about the money. Yeah, he made a lot of money, but he didn't care about the money. He cared about the project, the information. Just like, look at who we got now. We got Musk. And these people fall into line every few 10, 20, 30, 50 years. And we got Musk now. And Elon, he doesn't care about the money. What he cares about is making projects to advance the human race. And that's what they all have done. They're trying to advance us in a way, and it's almost like only these certain type of people can tap into this information, like you said. But we're getting on in time, so we're going to have to cut this. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am thoroughly drunk at this point. I have been drinking this whole
We only
episode.
had that one little span, though.
Yeah, well, I've only fucked up once, which is amazing because, to tell you the truth,
No, you
I am...
fucked up 3 words, but it was just in a real quick amount of time.
Right, but I am wasted.
Well,
I want you to know this because I've been playing the drinking game with you because I found it unfair. Unfair. You see how much I care about my podcast listeners?
Goddamn.
I love them. I love you guys, and I felt it to be unfair if I was not drinking with you guys. So you got an episode where, even though, and you know what's funny? The more I drank, the better I was articulate about the situation. Maybe I should just drink every episode because you saw me take a shot.
Maybe you should just drink every day.
That's called alcoholism. I don't think that's a good idea. That's how you get Arrow interviews, right there.
That's it, baby.
That's how you get Arrow. Yeah. Which, let me tell you something. Here real soon, for all you guys, and I know you guys do love Arrow, so I'm going to say this. I've been slacking on my Arrow, and I know you guys like him, and I know you guys like Nick. So real soon, I promise you, and I'm making a promise that I haven't consulted with my partner yet, but we're going to give
Trump
you...
promise, too.
Yeah, well, no. We're going to give you Nick and Arrow eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Again. You know what? Again, I'm going to do some kin episodes because we haven't done those since the early episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Poking and all them. Yeah, we're gonna have to
see
give
how
them
they're
some
doing.
more of them. Yeah, we gotta tap into old stroking and poking and choking and all them. But we're gonna give you some more Arrow. I promise you. I know we've been slacking on the comedy, but we're gonna come back with it. Just give me a minute. Arrow is not dead, neither is Nick. We're going to give you some Nick and some Arrow real soon. You just got to wait for it. It's like little tidbits. We drop them every now and again. Yeah, but we're going to do another Arrow real soon. But I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you guys listen. And look, you guys got to do something for me. Okay, if you like this podcast, do something for me and Jason, because this is how we spread it and make other people listen to us. You got to tell everybody about it. You got to tell your friends. Make sure they listen. And you got to give us a review. You got to, subscribe, download. I know we're asking for a lot, but give us a little review. Just say you like it. Subscribe, download, tell your friends about it. Spread the word. Because the more people we get to listen to, the more we can do for you guys. And the more people you get to listen to this and the more we can do for you guys means that eventually we can do live shows, stuff like that. And if you guys like this podcast, you've got to get the word out there. So you guys are very important to us. We want you to know that. And we appreciate every single person that downloads us. And I know you guys download us because I see the numbers.
Right.
I see the numbers. So I know I've got a following out there. And if every one of you people that listen to us every week, just make sure that one person listens to us. Just one. We grow and we become better. And the more we grow, the more we can do for you guys. The better the podcast gets for you guys, the better stories we can do, the more we can do live shows, things like that, where me and Jason can just, come and meet you guys, which is something we want to do for you guys. But like I said, you just got to put it out there so that everybody listens to us. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.